Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. The character of Lucy Coe has been a fan favorite ever since the first appeared on General Hospital back in 1986. Portrayer Lynn Herring was only hired for a short-term gig, but the character became so popular she stuck around and was even used to help launch the GA spin-off, Port Charles, in 1997. But as she isn't always seen quite as frequently these days, some newer viewers might not be aware that she's led quite the wild life. Lucy was originally a mousy librarian who was involved with Kevin O'Connor and acting as his alibi in a murder case. Breaking out of her shell, she later had an affair with Bobby Spencer's husband Jake, married Tony Jones, and then tied the knot with Alan Quartermain wearing a scandalous red dress at their wedding ceremony. While married to Alan, Lucy had an affair with Scotty Baldwin and became pregnant. After miscarrying his child, she ended up with Scotty, but later left town. When she returned, Lucy found that Scotty had fallen in love with Dominique Stanton, who had a fatal brain tumor. Having turned over a new leaf, Lucy agreed to be their surrogate, and although dying, Dominique lived long enough to hear her baby's heartbeat. But sadly, she was not alive when Lucy gave birth to Serena in a cabin during a blizzard. After Scotty was forced to flee town by the mob, Lucy fell in with Damian Smith and returned to her scheming ways, betting him he couldn't seduce Bobby away from Tony. But during this time, Lucy met Kevin Collins, who helped her return to the kinder, gentler woman Dominique had believed in before her untimely death. Things then took a stranger turn for a while as Lucy and Kevin discovered that his daughter, Livy, was being seduced by a vampire named Caleb. After vanquishing the evil bloodsucker, Kevin threw a surprise wedding and Lucy finally married her Doc. With their lives now full of magic and mystery, the appearance of another creature of the night, Stephen Clay, led Lucy to discover she was actually a vampire slayer, at least for a little while. Lucy was also instrumental in creating the annual Nurses' Ball for General Hospital to raise funds for AIDS research, although after a while, a lack of funding brought the gala event to an end. But in 2012, nurses Sabrina Santiago and Felix Dubois tracked down Lucy to help revive the ball. Lucy's return to Port Charles got a little complicated when she thought John McBain was the vampire Caleb and Sam McCall was Livy. But it was later revealed that musician Stephen Clay was insane and believed himself to be a vampire named Caleb. With Kevin spending so much time out of town with patients, Lucy distracted herself by trying to relaunch Deception Cosmetics with Laura Spencer, but it never got off the ground. While helping Scott run for district attorney, they grew closer and slept together. Although Lucy wanted to remain married to Kevin, she couldn't deny her feelings for Scott and her marriage came to an end. Sadly, Lucy was shocked to discover Scott was also sleeping with Bobby and devastated when the cat chose to be with the redhead instead. Lucy found herself wrapped up in Morgan Corintho's death after catching Ava Jerome dumping the young man's medication in the trash. While she was able to use that knowledge to extort a donation to the Nurses' Ball from Ava, it cast a pall over that year's event as she felt guilty about helping Ava cover up her part in Morgan's death. During the ball, Sonny and Carly confronted Lucy, who tearfully confessed everything she knew. Ever the entrepreneur, Lucy also got into the real estate business and has helped broker sales of some Port Charles properties, including Sonny's restaurant, Pozzolos. She was also the one to break the news to Scott that his father, Lee, had passed away and helped him set up an intimate memorial for him. And when Kevin found himself in court due to his involvement in Ryan Chamberlain's killing spree, Lucy was there to support her Doc. And even as she prepared for the 2019 Nurses' Ball, Lucy still found time to stick her nose into Kevin's business. Lucy penned a travel guide to Port Charles and finally managed to relaunch Deception, hiring Sasha Gilmore as a partner and also the new face of the brand. And when Maxie Jones quit Crimson, Lucy snatched her up to come work with her. But both women were upset to learn that Lucy had gotten her financial backing from Valentin Cassadine. Lucy's business took a turn when hiring Brooke Lynn Quartermain to perform a song during a presentation when the young woman's throat injury prevented her from singing and she tried, and failed, to lip-sync to Amy Driscoll's vocals. When Sasha feared losing her job because she got pregnant, Lucy instead was excited to use a new angle and sell cosmetics to expectant mothers. However, Lucy was less excited to learn that Scott was dating Liesl Albrecht, and even gave him a smack to try and knock some sense into him. At Christmas, Lucy hopped on Santa's lap at the hospital thinking she was flirting with Kevin and was surprised to find out it was Martin Gray. But it all worked out as they spent the night together and decided to see where this might lead. Working with Maxie, Sasha, and Brooklyn Quartermain, Lucy worked to take Deception's IPO public, and it was a big success, netting all of them a lot of money. Valentin gave Martin an ultimatum saying he could pick Lucy as a lover or him as a client, but Martin and Lucy eventually called his bluff and went public with their relationship. Lucy also found herself offering advice to Aidan Weber about spirits, not realizing he thought Franco Baldwin was haunting his mother, Elizabeth Weber. Later, Liz herself asked Lucy to put her in touch with a medium. Lucy sided with Ned and voted against Michael and Drew when they tried to oust Valentin from ELQ. She was also surprised when Scott told her that newcomer Cody Bell was Dominique's son. Lucy reluctantly agreed to help Anna Devane find out what Victor Cassadine was up to in Port Charles. But when he started making romantic advances on her, she wanted out. However, she eventually grew determined to help Anna get the dirt on Victor no matter what, and while Martin was away, turned on the charm. She managed to find out that he was working secretly with the deputy mayor, but had no idea Victor was on to her. And after he gifted her a necklace, she discussed her plans with Anna, not realizing it was bugged. So when Lucy accepted Victor's invitation for a sunset cruise, she went to the dock and was shot. When no body was found, everyone wondered if she was missing or dead. Although everyone in Port Charles had been led to believe that Anna had shot Lucy, it was actually a scheme set up by Victor. He'd arranged for Holly Sutton to disguise herself as Anna and shoot Lucy while the whole scene was being caught by the security drone. Victor then held Lucy prisoner in a Cassadine compound in France, which is where Anna and Valentin eventually located her chained up in a tunnel. Cornered by Victor's people, Anna set off a bomb that flooded the tunnels and allowed her, Valentin, and Lucy to fake their deaths. Lucy was delighted to be reunited with Martin, but began growing restless having to stay in the safe house all the time. Especially once she found out that Maxie and Bobby were trying to plan the 60th anniversary nurses' ball without her. Disguising herself, Lucy returned to Port Charles and while trying to help Maxie with the ball, exposed that Anna and Valentin were alive and Victor was able to track her to the safe house. Believing Martin was hiding something from her, Lucy enlisted Felicia and the pair went to Pine Valley where they searched Attorney Jackson Montgomery's office for files on him. Discovering that Martin was reluctant to marry her because it would cut off his hefty alimony payments from his ex-wife, Lucy was furious with him. Things got worse when Deception was sued over the Deceptor, and Lucy was stunned to learn that not only was it Tracy who'd brought the suit, but Jackson was representing her. Tracy offered to drop the lawsuit for 75% of Deception, and when that deal was declined, she tried again, telling Lucy she'd take 51% in her ELQ voting rights. Angry, Lucy refused to even consider it. Ultimately, though, so as not to destroy the company, Lucy agreed to take the 49% share of Deception and settle the lawsuit. Though as Tracy became more involved in the company, Lucy was determined to drive her out, especially after a particularly ugly argument in the office. To that end, she enlisted Scott to trick Lucy into marrying him so they could take her for everything, particularly her shares of Deception. Unfortunately, all the time she spent conspiring with Scott led Martin to suspect that she was cheating on him, and she was reluctant to confess the truth. At the beginning of 2024, Lucy joined the rest of Port Charles in mourning Bobby's death. Tracy figured out that Scott and Lucy were scheming against her, so she dripped a little poison in Martin's ear, making him super jealous. Martin broke up with Lucy, who went running to Scott, and crying on his shoulder led to them sleeping together. Wanting to tell her he'd made a mistake, Martin instead caught Lucy with Scott and angrily declared he never wanted to see her again. Lucy tried to stop Martin at the airport to explain, but she was too late. Lucy threw herself into work at Deception, and after Sasha and Cody quit, she suggested they hire Blaze as the new face of Deception. Unfortunately, she came with her momager, Natalia Ramirez, who was very hands-on. Lucy stepped in as deception spokesperson for a segment on Home and Heart, but rambled on about herself instead of the products, so Maxie called in Sasha to take over and rescue them, and they later settled on Lois as the new pitch person for the company. She also helped do damage control at Deception after Natalia outed Blaze as gay and herself as homophobic. As 2025 kicked off, Lucy did a little more work in her real estate side hustle, welcoming Jen Sitwell to Port Charles as the new owner of Windermere. They toasted to his new home and she offered to introduce him to the town's high society. Sitwell invited her out for drinks and she accepted, not realizing what kind of a guy he really was. Stay tuned to see how Lucy's story continues.